Glasses in session with our guy Cole Thompson as we go to the Glass for Guest line. Give Cole a follow on X at Mr. Cole Thompson, college football host for SEC Unfiltered. Cole, we got a couple of very intriguing SEC matchups this week. We'll start with the one in Tuscaloosa, where it's deja vu for the Tide all over again. Big win over Georgia, and then waiting for him on deck is Vandy. The question is, do you see this game going similar to how it was last year? Do you think Vandy has a chance to pull off the upset? Or do you think this time around the Tide take care of business and win by double digits?
Yeah, PJ, Vandy 100% has an opportunity to get this upset win. It's kind of mind-boggling that we have a 10.5-point spread when we've seen Vanderbilt be one of the most dynamic offenses in college football. This is not your mama and pop team. This is a new version of Vanderbilt football headlined by a psycho killer quarterback in Diego Pavia that will do everything and anything to guarantee his team a win. They're number 4 in the country in scoring. They're top 25 in total offense, red zone efficiency, rushing and passing, and they're number 7 in the country on third down conversions. They are an elite offense right now that is able to win with physicality and finesse. So Alabama is going to have to be prepared on stopping the rushing attack, headlined by number 2 on the ground. The difference in this game is, number 1, quarterback play, I think, is going to be night and day of an outlier in favor of the Crimson Tide. Ty Simpson has yet to have a turnover in his last 4 starts. Keep in mind that there were 2 critical turnovers on Jalen Milroe out in Nashville last year, including a pick 6 that ultimately led to Vanderbilt securing the win at First Bank Stadium and dragging the goalposts into the Cumberland River. You have a quarterback that does not put the ball in harm's way. And every single time that we talk about the third down conversions of what Vanderbilt's able to accomplish, Alabama is top 5 in the country in third down conversions. Start off the game last week, 8 of 8 in Athens against Georgia's defensive front. As much as I do think that Diego Pavia is going to make this a game, as much as I do think that this is going to be a 4-quarter battle, and that easily one of the best bets of the weekend is plus 10.5 in favor of Vanderbilt, the Crimson Tide are built different this year. The game is at home. They're not sleeping on the Commodores. So give me Alabama to win, but give me Vanderbilt as one of my favorite plays this week to cover.
I like it. I'm with you on Vandy, Cole. I think that's going to be a close game right down to the wire. Let me ask you about the SEC real quick, because we knew when Bama beat Georgia, there would be a lot of shuffling in the SEC market with the Tide having the tiebreaker and them being undefeated in SEC play. They are now your favorite. Texas right behind them. They're on the road in Gainesville this week, and we'll get to that game in a second. You got Ole Miss, who's undefeated. A&M's undefeated. I mean, you got so many great teams in this conference, Cole. Like, as you look at the odds board, is there a bet currently when we're so early into the SEC play and you can still get a good number on a bunch of these teams?
I think Texas A&M at plus 1,000 is one of the better bets that you can make. Offensively, they are night and day different than what we've seen over the last few years in the Jimbo Fisher era and even last year with Mike Elko, because Marcel Reed is not afraid to sling it. You know, he does throw a very interceptable ball, but he also has 2 wide receivers that are making plays left and right in Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver. And they're winning a lot of their contested catch battles. They're breaking on open into the open field for big-time gains. A&M still has yet to be able to open up the playbook on the rushing attack. So this may end up being a season where the Aggies don't have to rely so heavily on their defense to bail them out of trouble. They have 4 running backs that can all make plays in space, and they have a quarterback that does feel like he carries the enigma of the program. I'm not ready to say they're going to win the SEC, but if you told me at plus 1,000 I could put a little bit of money down and feel confident that they're going to make it to Atlanta, knowing what their schedule is and how many trap games could be now kind of a thing of the past, very easy play to go ahead and bet on the boys down at College Station.
Cole, let's get to that game in Gainesville this week, which is really interesting. People keep betting that under. It keeps going down and down. We're at 41.5. Texas is laying 7. Both teams coming out of their bye week. It's interesting, right? Because under Sark the last couple years, in these big matchups against good defenses, Texas just has not put up points. And then psychologically, you wonder where Florida's at. Do they feel like their season's over? Is Lagway healthy? Are they going to put up any points this week? How do you break down that game?
What's going to be really interesting is seeing how healthy is Florida overall offensively. So the news coming out of Gainesville is Vernell Brown and Dallas Wilson, the 2 5-star wide receivers, are going to play in this matchup, and DJ Lagway, and having a week of rest to be able to get off his feet is really beneficial. Lagway and Billy Napier both said that they feel like that the offense is about ready to strike and they can taste a moment of where everything is going to start clicking. And that might be the case. To me, this really comes down to, for Florida, Can you trust the play calling of Billy Napier? I mean, you have a running back in Jaden Baugh that's averaging nearly 6 yards a carry. And in the last 2 high-profile games, he's finished with less than 20 carries a game. So that's something to where you have to kind of throw out logic, throw out what has been, the way that you've gone about things in the past and say, we are going to trust our best player to make life pure hell for Texas defensive line. And so is Billy going to be willing to make some adjustments when it comes to his play design to bring in a 4-quarter game? For Arch, you got to be able to master and kind of bottle up what kind of success you had last week, 2 weeks ago when you faced off against Sam Houston State, over 300 passing yards, 4 total touchdowns, and bring that to Gainesville. This is a very good defense that likes to get after Texas backfield. They're going to make the offense one-dimensional. The good news is if you're Texas, the star defensive line for Florida in Banks is going to be out for this game. So it's going to give you more time to throw. How are you going to be able to respond with now having Trey Weiser coming off an injury? Can you create those opportunities for those one-on-one battles downfield to Parker Livingston, to Ryan Wingo, to DeAndre Moore? And then once you're in the red zone, can you walk away with 7 points instead of settling for 3 points? I actually think this is going to be one of the more high-scoring games of the weekend. I am hammering the over at 41.5, and I think that Texas comes on in there and covers. They need this win more so to prove that they are the favorites and still a threat to go to the college football playoff. Because let's be real. Regardless of what the AP poll thinks, most people with the brain and eyes who watch college football do not envision Texas as a top 10 team right now. Can you go ahead and prove that you actually are when you have to face against a team on the road?
Yeah, big little stretch here for Texas. They get Florida on the road this week, and then they get Red River next week against OU. Cole, another big game in Tallahassee this weekend, Miami and Florida State. The Canes are a 4.5-point favorite. FSU looking to bounce back from that loss to Virginia last Friday. What do you make of this game? Who do you like between the Canes and the Noles?
I think Carson Beck is going to be the key in this matchup for Miami. He's going to have to throw the football efficiently. He's going to have to extend plays outside the pocket. And the good news is that for as much change as we have seen to Florida State's defensive line underneath new coordinator Tony White, this is still one of the best offensive lines in college football. So I do think that Beck is going to have time to throw. Can you build that rapport with Malachi Toney, CJ Daniels, one of your tight ends to bail you out of trouble? Win consistently on third down. What I think for Florida State that's going to be so beneficial for them is Miami is yet to go up against a high-tempo offense, one that likes to get to the line of scrimmage in a timely manner, be able to run a play, then immediately get right back there. I mean, the first 3 offenses that they faced, they averaged 1.2 plays per minute. Florida State averages 2.8 plays per minute. So it's going to be a more up-tempo speed. That might allow you to catch Miami slipping in the secondary where one of your wide receivers, most likely Deuce Robinson, is winning his one-on-one battle and is off to the races. It's going to have to be a clean game of football, I think, for Florida State. I think that Miami is available to get a turnover because their defensive line has been able to get after every single offensive personnel currently in the sport. In my opinion, they have the best defensive player in the sport with Ruben Bain. As much as I do think that, yes, this is a trap game for Miami coming off of a bye, first major road test. It still is in Florida. You're going into Doak Campbell. Florida State found a way to shoot themselves in the foot last week on the road in Charlottesville. I think Miami wins. I think Miami covers.
All right, very good. Any other games, Cole, that stick out to you this week in college football?
My bold pick of the week, as bad as it was at times out in Starkville in week number 5, I think that Mississippi State has gotten enough of our attention to turn the corner and put themselves in a position where they are going to be a threat. It is a blackout game in Kyle Field. It is a game to where Texas A&M has all the momentum. You heard Mike Elko in the press conference talking about, hey, can we finally start giving a little bit more credit to this Aggies team? We're 4-0 for the first time since 2016. And the thing that I know better than anything else, the second that you give Texas A&M a little bit of love, they find a way to shoot you down. I think that Mississippi State not only covers the 14.5, I think if they win outright at Kyle Field, it is going to be a blackout and a funeral for the Aggies in front of the hometown crowd before they take on Florida. Listen, A&M, I think that they're a different team underneath Mike Elko. But until I see it, there's always going to be that trap moment to where it all comes crashing down. Meet your trap moment in Mississippi State.
I like it. All right, Cole calling his shot there with Mississippi State. Cole, in about a minute, I got a question I'm interested to see your thoughts on, okay? If it comes down to 10-2 Notre Dame, so they run the table, they finish 10-2, or we get 10-2 Penn State with a loss to Oregon and a loss to Ohio State, who do you think gets into the playoff between those two teams?
I think I think both will get in because unfortunately, I think the criteria is if you get to 10 wins, you will automatically be a playoff team. But if I were to be a betting man and say that there were too many 10-2 rosters out there and somebody's got to be left on out, the easy pick right now is Penn State gets in and Notre Dame gets left out, and it's because of one team plays in the conference and the other team doesn't. One team has 9 conference games that they have to be scheduled because of that is what the criteria is at the Big Ten, and the other one gets to have matchups against ACC teams, G5 teams, non-conference teams, and maybe if you're lucky, one SEC opponent. It may end up being that you have 2 of the best losses in college football with Miami and Texas A&M, depending on what they look like. But I sure as hell can tell you right now that Penn State is going to have 2 of the best losses because Oregon feels like the second best team in college football behind the number 1 team in college football, Ohio State. So if we are criterizing what is the strength of a win and the strength of a loss, you got to throw in the fact that maybe Oregon and Ohio State are the 2 most complete teams in college football. It's why they have the best odds to win the Big Ten. That's going to give a slight nod, I think, to Penn State over Notre Dame. But I do think at 10-2, both teams would get it.
You're probably right, Cole. I'm just disgusted with Penn State. How did they lose that game? They had 7 months to prepare for that game against Oregon, and they still couldn't win. You know, I mean, James Franklin. Just something.
2-21, James Franklin. Congratulations.
It's unbelievable. That guy in big games. Cole Thompson, also unbelievable. Give him a follow on X at Mr. Cole Thompson, college football host for SEC Unfiltered. Joins us every week here on Send It In. Cole, have a great week, buddy. We'll see you again next week.
Appreciate it, PJ.